Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thanks for joining me. Now, these two pieces of crap you see right here are Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota, and then right next to her you have Mr. My Face Looks Like a Dick, Matt McKee, Senator for the state of Arkansas. Now, first off, we're going to start off discussing Miss Noem. Okay. Kristi Noem passed a bill yesterday in her state house and signed it into law last night while the rest of us were trying to figure out what was going on at Michigan State University about banning gender-affirming care from trans youth. So yeah, it's another place you can check off my list of ever visiting in this country. So much for United States, huh? The list is very quickly growing. North Carolina, Florida, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, even the state I live in, Oklahoma. I need to get out. And now add to that list South Dakota. Now, was I ever likely to go to South Dakota? Hell no. I had no intentions in the world of going to South Dakota. Why? Not because I hate the people. Not because I thought they were racist bigots that hated trans people. Just because it's too damn cold. And I'm a wimp when it comes to cold. I can't even move to the state I want to, Vermont, because it's too damn cold. But no, now they make it to where I don't want to go to the state for an actual legitimate reason. The state of South Dakota has now banned all gender-affirming care for minors, from puberty blockers to counseling to any kind of surgeries. Now, here's the deal. I completely agree with the conservatives when it comes to not allowing gender-affirming surgeries, like sexual reassignment surgeries and stuff, or facial feminization surgeries, when you're a minor. I 100% support that. 100% support that. If you want to ban that, fine. You know why? Because it's not happening. It doesn't happen. But any counselor or doctor who seeks to help a trans person and is not fully trying to convert them to being straight, cis, and straight, they can go to prison. They can be fined and go to prison. If they don't partake in conversion therapy, basically, counselors and doctors in the state of South Dakota cannot treat trans kids for gender affirming anything. Now, people are like, well, we don't want them doing this. We don't want them making irreparable damage to their body, blah, blah. They already know who they are. Less than 3% of people that present as trans as youth convert back to being cisgender at a later time. Less than 3%. So that we can just put that away, right? But no, because conservatives don't care about the facts. They care about their feelings. They don't care about the lives of anybody. So here's another state where parents are going to have to start trying to flee so their kids can survive, so their kids aren't taken away from them, so their kids don't end up trying to unalive themselves. Bills like this only do one thing. Bills like this only lead to more suicides in the trans community. It's not helping anything. It's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. As I've mentioned in previous videos, puberty blockers can have side effects down the road. But here's a question I pose to you parents out there that are concerned that your kid is trans and a doctor thought about maybe putting them on puberty blockers and you're worried about it. Here's my thing. Would you rather your child maybe have some adrenal issues 20 years down the road? Or would you rather have your child in the ground? If a child's dysphoria is so bad that that a doctor or and after dealing with their psychological team are saying that they need puberty blockers because it could be detrimental to their health to go through the wrong puberty, or that it could cause them extra grief, then a kid needs the puberty blockers, regardless of if they turn out to be trans or not. Kids need care. Trans kids need care. Because sometimes you can get through it and survive and be fine, and then sometimes you can't. I'm one of those that was able to survive while bottling everything down. Doesn't mean I didn't try. It doesn't mean there weren't times where I planned it down to the second of how I was going to unalive myself. Because I wasn't who or what I felt like I was supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know what these states are doing. I don't know how they think they're protecting kids, but they're not. Nobody is demanding your kid be trans. Nobody is teaching your kids to be trans. There's no class called trans in schools. No one is trying to teach your kids to be trans. No one is indoctrinating your kids to be trans or gay. People are who they are. And they know at a very early age who they are. I remember being a young kid, seeing all those boys run around kissing on the girls and hugging on the girls. And very few of them ended up not being straight, right? Because they knew what they liked. They knew what they found to be cute. Being trans is not about somebody's sexual preferences or sex. It's even, it's not even about the genitals, as you're going to learn coming up in just a second. But it's not about that. It's not about sex. Quit trying to think everything is about sex. It's your perverted mind making it seem that way. Now, I may not have known who I was for sure until I was like 10 or 11, maybe 9. Right? But I knew by 7 or 8 what I thought was cute. That I found both boys and girls cute in the same way. That I felt girly at a very young age. And, I just thought, because I'd hear other people say, oh, that's just a phase, blah, blah, blah. I remember in my youth when I was like, I can't remember if I was 12 or 13, we had a girl living with us, and I kind of borrowed her bikini and sat out on our back porch while my mom was at work. By 11 years old, I knew who I was. I was scared for anyone to know. In a way, I guess I was trying to out myself by doing that. Because part of me wanted people to know. Part of me was terrified for anyone to know. And these kids shouldn't have to go through that. Kids should not have to be terrified that their family is going to be ripped apart, that their parents are going to go to jail, that their doctors are going to get put in prison just because they decided to be themselves. Now let's talk about Matt Genitalia McKee. Before we get started, you'll see why in a minute, but his number is 501-622-0860. Demand he resign. Because Matt Genital McKee should resign. He is a state senator for the state of Arkansas, a state that already has shown its colors to hating trans people and banning trans youth from the care they need. But there was a person that was a doctor who was also trans. They're talking about in a panel discussion over trans care. She was asked if she was trans. She answered in the affirmative. And he had the nerve, the audacity, and the gall to ask one simple question: do you have a penis? He asked a trans person in a government sanctioned meeting, do you have a penis? Mr. McKee should resign. Mr. McKee should be removed from his body of government. And Mr. McKee should be blacklisted from any government organization in the state of Arkansas again. Because that is just totally uncalled for. And then he goes on to say, oh, well, since we're talking about trans things, you said you're trans, therefore he had a right to ask about what's in her pants? No. Just because you're talking about trans healthcare and trans rights does not mean you get to ask people if they have a damn penis. It's wrong to go ahead and do that kind of stuff in a private conversation, right? Especially somebody you don't freaking know. The only people that should be knowing what's in someone's pants is someone who's having sex with them or their significant other. That's it. And that's all. The attacks that trans people are under, they're insane. The conservatives don't seem to know one end, from the other. They don't know who trans people are. Most of them have never even spoken to a trans person. But as I saw over on TikTok the other day, a lot of these men are probably just mad because they were attracted to a drag queen or a trans person, and they don't know how to deal with that. Probably the same thing for Miss Noem over there too, right? Because the people that yell the most about the LGBT community being evil most often turn out to be part of the LGBTQ community. But once again, let me give you that number one more time about Matt McKee here. Matt McKee, call him and tell him to resign at 501-622-0860. Now, I don't do this very often. I don't generally believe in doing things this way. But I am beyond pissed off at what attacks are being thrown at transgender people. It's about time that people start facing repercussions for treating us with such disrespect and for being so hateful. And so disgusting, as in the case of Matt McKee. It's absolutely repulsive to go around asking people what they have in their pants. It's none of your business. It's only their business and who they want to be allowed to know. And if you're having to ask, then you're not allowed to know. The only people that should ever know about what's in your pants and what your genitals are, as I said, are the people you sleep with and your significant other. Or others, depending on your relationship status, right? The fact that they want to do this, though, they want to ban trans youth from getting any kind of care. They want to call you out in the middle of government meetings and ask you if you have you have certain genitalia. It shows you how they don't see us as people. They don't view us as if we matter. They don't view us as if we're sentient beings of any kind. They see us as just the other. They see us as things that they can just play with and poke and prod. But we're not. And one of these days, people like this are going to regret it. They're either going to be voted out or they're going to be forced to resign because people aren't going to take this anymore. We're not going to take being treated like crap. And that goes for the entirety of the LGBTQ community and every other community that's being marginalized by these people. The Asian community, the Black community, the Indigenous community. There's more of us than there are of them. And we need to start making it look that way when we go to vote in November's, for the November general elections. We need not only to turn Texas blue or Oklahoma blue. At this point, we need to vote blue everywhere we go. You need to vote blue in your state elections, your city elections. You need to vote blue in all your federal elections. Because I myself will never vote for a Republican again as long as I live. Even though there are some policies that some Republicans have held that I supported. But I can't trust them not to make me illegal and other people like me. I cannot trust them not to label parents of trans kids getting gender-affirming care as abusers. I cannot trust them not to make bills that make children unable to get the care they need. I'm absolutely beyond my understanding here of how people could be so hateful and so cruel to a group of people they don't even know. Now, the thing is, the trans community has made a lot of strides over the last 50 years, along with the rest of the LGBTQ community. We are far more accepted than we were. And that scares these people. They feel that if their hate isn't allowed to hold us down, to put us back in the closet, then they may have to actually think about their sexuality or their gender. And let me be very clear. If you are part of the LGBTQIA plus community, you are valid. You matter. You have done nothing wrong. Being yourself is not being wrong. Being yourself is exactly who you're supposed to be, is exactly what you're supposed to do as a human. And anybody that tells you otherwise is wrong. I have friends of mine that are part of the community as well, and I don't know how they do it, but they still find a way to put on a happy face and go to church every Sunday. They have found a way to stay in their faith. Because, we're taught in Sunday school that Jesus loves everybody. That's what we're taught. We're taught that Jesus loves everybody. But unfortunately, too many times, people seem to think that they don't have to follow that and still get to call themselves Christians. I, for one, do not follow that concept at all. I don't go to church for that reason. I don't go to church because I am tired of seeing people treated like crap by religion. I have my own religious views. And you know what? I'm not going to tell you what rules you have to follow, what religious rules you have to follow. But for me, the little bit of religion I have left in me says that we're all supposed to be loved. It tells me that God didn't make a mistake. Just because you're gay or transgender or whatever, it doesn't mean God made a mistake. The only mistake is that society is a society that is trying to shame you. It's trying to hate you. Because the man I learned about in that black book on those Sunday school days wouldn't hate you. That person would love you with all their heart. The person that I follow at all would be clothing the poor, feeding the poor, loving the outcast of society. Unfortunately, too many people that follow Jesus or say they follow Jesus don't actually follow Jesus. And that's where I can leave that. But I'm sick and tired of these people treating us like we don't matter. Once again, in case you weren't able to get it before, let me give you his number one more time. State Senator Matt McKee, his number is 501 622 0860. Demand he resign. If you live in Arkansas, demand his resignation. Demand that he is removed because he has no business being in your state house. He has no business representing you. He has no business representing anybody. Anyhow, y'all have a great day. I'll see you down the road. I have a story about the Michigan State situation later in the week. I don't have enough information to go on right now, but my thoughts go out to the families and friends of the three people that were killed, and at least the gunman took himself out, so we don't have to worry about him harming anyone else. Anyways, have a good day.